I'm Dr. April Besaw, Associate Professor of Anthropology at Vassar College. And for this fall semester, I'm teaching Anthropology 332 Ruins and Haunting Heritage as my archaeology seminar course. For week one, I've asked students to watch one of 3 episodes of the TV show Ghost Adventures, and these episodes are specifically chosen on purpose because I want students to think about ghost hunting and how it is done in popular media as opposed to what their perception of ghost hunting might be, so that we could all be on a baseline of talking about how ghost hunting is done with some references that we could speak to. I'm going to post some videos of ghost hunting that I have done with students in the past. Specifically, these videos will be from the previous college that I taught at before I came to Vassar College. So they're older, but there I was able to do a lot of ghost hunting with students. And it seemed like every time we went ghost hunting, there was a thunderstorm that night, totally unplanned. So excellent opportunity to think about how things that might be coincidence happen and seem to make things seem like they happen together all the time. I wrote about that experience teaching through ghost hunting in Jeb Card and David Anderson's book Lost City, Found Pyramid, in my chapter 10 on archaeology as ghost hunting and ghost hunting as archaeology, or vice versa. One of those two ways. So let's back up for a moment and define some terms and establish where we're speaking. Ghost hunting is different from a ghost tour, where a ghost tour is that somebody brings you around an area and points to a building or a cemetery plot and tells you what happened there, or stories about ghosts that people tell that are connected to that area. Whereas ghost hunting is when you're actively trying to seek an encounter or seek to collect evidence about a haunting, such as using an EMF detector or trying to record electronic voice phenomenon or so forth. So comparing ghost hunting to archaeological investigation is something that I found instructive to think about why the general public is very excited to hear a ghost story and a little less excited to hear an archaeological story, especially when told by a professor. But think about how archaeology and ghost stories both require materiality. They need things, and they need to go to those things. You can't really do a good ghost story without being in the place. You could tell a ghost story about being in the place, but it doesn't have the same effect as if you say, it happened here, right? And it's the same thing with archaeology. I could tell an archaeology story about anywhere, but if I'm standing on the spot that I'm talking about, it's much more powerful. So both ghost hunting and archaeology play off of the fact that places and objects of the past that persist into the present cause this sense of rupture, that why is this here? Why didn't this go away? What is there that I can learn about this? So as everything becomes more modern, as we have this idea of progress, that the past gets left in the past, haunted places seem to be stubborn in that they linger on the landscape. They linger in our hands. They have this lingering materiality. So both archaeology and ghost hunting work on telling stories of that lingeringness. So like ghost hunters, archaeologists use detection and recording equipment to try to document the past lives of that landscape. Archaeologists will use GPS devices, will use ground penetrating radar, will use all sorts of things that try to receive signals, and we'll also use just pen and paper, just like a lot of ghost hunters will use pen and paper to try to communicate. So there's these intermediaries that help us to establish our positionality against the people and the things from the past. Where things are different is, there's lots of differences, but one of the things that's different is that archaeological investigations are not as much about the present as ghost investigations are. Ghost investigations are like, there's a ghost here now, yes or no. Whereas an archaeological investigation is more about, well, people were here at one point in the past. And that might be part of why archaeologists have trouble connecting to the public, because it seems like we're talking about things that don't need to be talked about anymore. Whereas if a ghost hunter is telling you that there's a ghost here right now, you feel a sense of immediacy in your connection to the past. So ghost hunters convey the stories of forgotten places and people with just those high points that connect to an audience, while archaeologists tend to linger on the details, the names, the dates, the things that don't seem to be as important. So I've selected 3 different episodes of the TV show Ghost Adventures, which is a ghost hunting team that goes out, and they often go to historic sites. And sometimes they dig in the ground, which they might consider archaeology, but they don't document what they found. They're not doing research. So archaeologists might consider them looters. That could be a topic for another discussion another day. But they're seeking this materiality at historic sites, and they're seeking this connection with the past that is not very different from what archaeologists try to do. So the episodes that I've asked students to consider viewing are episodes that are specifically about those kinds of historic sites. So one is Season 5, Episode 8, sometimes referred to Episode 12, about Rocky Point Manor, which streams from the Travel Channel for free. One is the 2013 investigation of the Battle of Perryville's field hospitals, which is sometimes listed as Season 8, Episode 11, sometimes as Season 7, Episode 13, which is both on the Travel Channel and on Hulu. And the other episode is the 2014 investigation of George Washington's ghost at the Morris Jumel Mansion in New York, which is Season 9, Episode 3, that streams on Hulu. So we'll have a discussion in class and on our discussion board for the students who aren't coming to class about these episodes. But in general, I want to set up some information for you here. So for the Jumel house, it is listed as Manhattan's oldest house, the Morris Jumel Mansion in New York. And one of the things that Zach Bagans, the leader of the Ghost Adventures team, says in that episode is, he says, "It's not a mansion. It's a time capsule full of precious objects that were connected to the people that lived 200 years ago," right? It's a very archaeological way of putting things. So for their investigations of Civil War history on the other 2 episodes, they do things like consider the way the stairs have been worn down, where people's footprints would have been over time. Use-wear is definitely an archaeological technique. They do the same sort of thing with the floors. Look where people would have been on the floors. They document some bullet holes in the walls. They metal detect in the yard. They dig up some nails. They even bring these objects to an archaeologist and ask for those their interpretations. Some of the most popular episodes of Ghost Adventures are investigations of asylums. They go to an asylum and plague pit in Italy in season 2, episode 3. They go to an asylum in Kentucky in season 3, episode 6. An asylum in New Jersey for season 1, episode 6. Asylum in Pennsylvania for season 3, episode 3. Right, so asylums are something that archaeologists are very involved in. My students and I are helping to document and preserve the Dutchess County Poorhouse and Lunatic Asylum Cemetery. We're not excavating, we're trying to preserve the markers and document where the markers are as they're decomposing. So it isn't just battlefields or George Washington houses that they look into. It's all sorts of sites that have some sort of heritage to them that both would be kind of interesting to the general public, but also are places where something tragic happened, right? So Civil War battles, tragedy. Young people dead everywhere. Asylums, a lot of people lived their whole lives, which were usually very short, living there in asylums and died there. So this idea of this place is important, something horrible happened here, but asylums don't really fit into the American story the way that civil wars do. And civil wars, we rarely talk about the actual death of the Civil War. We talk about the politics around it. We might say how many people were killed, but we rarely talk about the actual experiences of individual human beings. So watching those episodes, pick one, watch one of those episodes. I want you to think about whenever they're doing something that might seem archaeological, whenever they're looking for a physical manifestation that isn't supernatural, that is an artifact, a building, a ruin, and how they are talking about it in ways that don't require the paranormal, but that might require an archaeologist. So that's all I'm going to say for the audio version of today. For the video version, I'm going to slide right into some videos of the ghost hunting that I did with students in Ohio back in 2011. Oh boy, they don't want us in there. I was just in here.
Yeah, let me push it open. I'll try to push it. Oh my.
Check the lock and see what
I think it might be locked from the other side.
I was just in there.
That's weird.
Is this lock?
No.
Okay, we're on the other side now, and there's no light up here, so kudos to you, Ghost.
Baseline ambient measurement.
74.5.
All right. Everyone go ahead. Oh, we need EMF base too. It's green. First one. Oh, I feel a cold spot over here.
Flashlight on the ambient.
Oh, okay.
68.7, so it is, according to this,
It is cooler.
colder over here.
Want to go see why the other door's locked?
Okay. Hello? Is it a old chair? Old door? I'm not really feeling a cold spot in here. You feel anything?
Chair is 56 degrees.
Where is?
The chair. It looks like it is locked from the
From
inside.
the inside?
Someone locked it then, huh?
Did you lock the door on us?
I still can't get it.
too much light or no light at all. That's no good.
Oh, you got it. Where is it caught? What's in here?
Okay, we're gonna go up here.
Oh my goodness, we also used to have like jump clipping stuff up here.
Used to?
Well, I'm in one of the sororities, we don't now.
You sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Maybe somebody had a traumatic experience in there
Probably, I don't doubt it.
with caffeine-free cups.
Were you part of a sorority? Does anybody know when Ellen died?
No.
A couple years now.
60 degrees in there.
60 degrees in there.
Warmer compared to that chair over by that room.
Have there been any EMS spikes at all? No, it's got a cobweb.
You sure it was a cobweb, not somebody touching you? Where did you get a cobweb from?
Do you know?
If somebody was touching you? I don't know. That's what the janitors say was going on in the catacombs, that somebody was touching them. And they did a tape recording when they were down there, and one of the janitors asked if anybody wanted to talk to him, and you could hear on the tape recorder, you could hear him saying, does anybody want to talk to me? And then you hear, and you don't hear that before or after.
Right.
You know, I wasn't with them to see.
Stuck in the pipe. What does that say?
Brian
World
is
class.
Miami.
That says world class
Window washers.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh, Alpha Phi Tau. Is that somebody touching my chin? Are you in here? Don't worry, we're here to just talk to you. In the catacombs. Creepy, creepy catacombs. Hello? We're not here to hurt you. We just came to say hi, see if you were here. This is an exceptionally creepy place. I didn't know this was here. Here, tap and let us know that you're here. You won't scare us.
Did anybody else hear it?
No. It might just been us shifting.
Okay. Oh,
Heard
it's
him.
probably them. Hang on, chair.
Well, that's why we have a recording. We can go back.
Can I see the flashlight, Jimmy? I'm gonna make a note. What did you hear? I heard us shifting through the vent, but I'm assuming it was just hearing them on the other side. Since we heard Drew speak just afterwards.